Happy Wednesday, Empoweristas. It's Alex Worley, and I've got an awesome guest for you today, Ashlee Carignan. Did you hear that? I got the pronunciation of your
Good
name
job,
right.
girl.
She
Good
is
job.
the founder of Pilates with Ashlee. She's also a social media influencer in the Pilates community, which is amazing because just about 1 year ago, she was anti-social media. So we're going to talk about all that, but hey, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me, guys. I've been trying to get on here for a couple months now, so
A mission accomplished.
mission accomplished.
Well,
I'm really excited.
I mean, I met you. We did a Pilates class together, private Pilates, and it was awesome. I was definitely burning up the next day. And I just really love your brand. I think what you do is super authentic and super unique to who you are. So that's what drew me to you and made me want to bring you on the show. So we're going to talk about that, how you build this really authentic brand. But before we go into that, if you could tell everyone, what is Pilates with Ashlee?
So Pilates with Ashlee is just my brand. So PWA is actually the full brand that I started about a year ago. And I really started hitting it hard, just trying to get different sponsors, press, publications, being on Empowerista, which is such a big deal and stuff for me. So I'm really excited to be here today. But basically what I'm trying to do is just build PWA or Pilates with Ashlee into a household name in Los Angeles. So I recently expanded my studio earlier this year in January. So I used to train one-on-ones, and then I opened it up to 2s and 3s, and then I do small group classes as well. And I would say about 4 months in, we were completely booked. So now we're about 9 months in. Kids are back to school, moms are coming out of the woodwork, so things are starting to heat up at PWA.
Yeah, girl.
So it's been like a really thrilling, hard year. I mean, definitely being a business owner in a one-woman show is not easy, but there's definitely been the rewards and, finding all these skills out about myself that I didn't even know I had, like doing all my own marketing and
social media alone. That's not easy to figure out how to not only build your following, but a really engaged following that loves what you're all about and participates and
it's like
uses your hashtags and all of that. So first of all, what would you say has been the biggest obstacle that you've had to overcome this year?
The biggest obstacle, I think, just in general is growing pains, because I've never had to really deal with that being with one-on-one. And so why I expanded the studio to begin with is because obviously there's only so many hours in one day, and I kind of capped that hour with the one-on-one. So I knew if I wanted to grow as a business and a brand, I was going to have to expand and open up the business. So learning to navigate that, 3 people versus 1, and then you have to have price lists, and I do monthly newsletters and keeping up with your clientele and all that. And then now I'm starting to hire trainers because I possibly can't train everybody in one day. So those are just been some of the biggest challenges right now.
Yeah, lots to juggle, that's for sure. And constantly learning on the job, I'm sure.
Definitely. It's definitely like learning what works and what doesn't. And there's been a lot of what doesn't work, but then that only makes you learn what does work.
Yeah,
and then,
you just keep on going.
Yeah, and moving successfully. And that's the thing, is you have to keep moving. You can't let those things take you down and bring you down.
For sure.
You got to just kind of learn the lesson from that, move forward and try something different. And so I really believe, hard work and determination and persistence in the end just pays off.
Yeah. So how did you get into Pilates in the first place? Because I know you started out as a Pilates instructor. Were you even a student before that?
I was. I actually started about 13 years ago. So I used to work at Vidal Sassoon. And I was really good friends with Eden Sassoon. And she had her own studio on Wilshire and Gale. And this was like 13 years ago. So this was before anybody had like group 10-person machines, all that stuff. So she really had it like locked down. You couldn't even get into a class there. It was like you had to book out your entire month. It was crazy. So I started there, and it was like one of the original Pilates Plus, which was like the Sebastian Legree method. So I started there, and I was a student there for about a year. And then I just knew this is what I wanted to do. I grew up as an athlete. I grew up playing competitive soccer. So it was kind of the active, athletic was always inside me. And so when I tried Pilates, I don't know, it was just something I knew from the first class. I was like, it was unlike anything I'd ever done.
Well, yeah, it's very holistic. I know that you've mentioned that it's more than just the workout for you. It's really a confidence builder. It's good for your mind. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, I mean, I started back in my 20s, and I think we all know how that went. You know, it's always kind of trying to find yourself and you don't really know what you're doing. And I think in a way, Pilates kind of paved that for me. It like took down my attitude a little bit because I was just like this rebel kid. And, you know, it made me kind of realize like it's okay to be myself and be confident with that. And with Pilates, it's just, like I said, it's not just about the workout. It gives you the inner strength, if that makes sense, and the
Yeah.
confidence.
Takes discipline.
Discipline, but it's like, it's a self, like, competitive sport, so,
Sure, I know
so
what
to
you
speak,
mean.
you know? So when, you know, you weren't doing one-handed planks 2 months ago and now you are, you're like, you know, pumped on that and it's thrilling.
Yeah.
And then you know, it makes you feel so much like better about yourself and this confidence that you didn't have before. And then I've seen it with my clients who walk in with injuries and they think they'll never walk again or scoliosis will never be fixed again. And lo and behold, I have fixed
Yeah.
it for them. And they're like, you know, that's what makes my job at the end of the day priceless, is like seeing those people happy and confident again
That is so
when there
cool.
was like at one point no hope.
That's so rewarding, yeah. And I
It's
know
super
you
rewarding.
mentioned Pilates helped you really own who you are, and that's
Right.
something that stays consistent throughout your business is really just unapologetically being yourself. And it's really interesting because in fitness studios, you see certain brands and trends and styles and flavors that become really trendy, right? But I love how you're just like, I'm going to be the tatted up Pilates instructor with my blue hair. I like rap music. So tell me a little bit about that, about what makes you unique in your flavor, your brand, and how you've just kind of unapologetically owned that.
I mean, I think it just kind of happened. You know, it's like, I think throughout my life, I've just never really apologized for who I was. I mean, there were times, you know, of course, people make you feel like you're doing something wrong because you are different. But then when I found Pilates, like I said, and got that confidence at about 26 years old, it was only up from there for me, you know, owning it. And I've never apologized for it. You know, I've successfully opened my own business with tattoos and piercings and blue hair. I've successfully gotten into many publications. I'm now on this show and you know, I've had a t-shirt line, I've had a sweatshirt line. I'm releasing another one this fall and this winter. So it's just one thing after another. I've ambassadored for over a dozen brands now,
Yeah,
which
and
has been
obviously
super exciting.
your clients and your students are really attracted to you
Yep.
just being yourself,
And
right?
I think like, absolutely. And I think a lot of that too, which is like, they can see who I am on Yelp. Yelp has been one of the biggest things for me and a really great resource for me to get my clients because they can see me, you know, so they know what they're walking into. And obviously on my website, I have more of like about me and more pictures of me. So they know like what the studio's like, they know it's boutique and it's going to be like this rocker girl. So maybe half of it's intrigue and half of it's, you know, the reviews in my training speak for itself.
Yeah, I think it's really great when instructors think outside of the box and instead of just being an employee for another studio, they go, okay, how can I turn this into a bigger business by either creating my own studio or doing privates or, you know, nowadays, gosh, you can even do online training.
Right, absolutely.
So, what was that within you that went, I'm going to take this to the next level and create my own business?
I think, you know, honestly, I don't really know. I think it was just timing. Like, you know, I've been in this business for 10 years and I was, you know, I apprenticed with someone and then I learned the business model from her, which is what I have now. So, I mean, what I learned from her was like priceless knowledge, but I wasn't ready to do it back then. And then, you know, I got married and then moved to Austin, Texas and kind of opened up my own one-on-one studio there, which I was very successful at. got divorced and came back here. And then I knew starting my business for the third time, I was going to do it bigger, better, and stronger. So I think it was just timing and being, you know, 32 years old and being like, I'm ready to do this. I feel like with anything in life, you have to get to that point where you're ready to do it. You're all in or nothing. Because this is like something you have to be 100% dedicated to, or it's not going to work.
So would you say commitment is what made the biggest difference?
Commitment, 100%. Being all in. I mean, you know, too, is being, you know, having your own brand. It's like you're either all in or nothing. You can't be halfway in it because it's not going to work otherwise. So I literally, for the last year and a half, live and breathe my brand.
Yeah, and I love the way you've really thought outside of the box with how to make it a reality. I mean, you have a boutique studio. It's inside a garage, but you wouldn't know it. Like you built it out to be so beautiful and badass, and it plays into this brand of zigging where others are zagging.
Right.
But then obviously it makes it so much more possible. So how did that decision come about?
I mean, I think it just happened organically, to be honest, because there aren't studios like that here. And my clientele has just always been, and my motto is like, we don't discriminate. You know, PWA, like you said, there's certain studios you go into and they have cultures and they have like their niche or a little clique. And at PWA, we train everybody up and down the sun. There is no single type of person. So how I created my brand is kind of home away from home. And I want people to come in and feel like that's their safe place. And I really feel like I've created that. I have clients that come in 20 minutes early just to sit on my couch, just to like get that downtime away from the family, away from the kids or work or whatever it is, that external stress, and know that they're in a safe place where it's going to be about them for an hour.
That's awesome.
And, you know, creating that is because I don't think anybody else has it. So it just, you know, I saw an opening of where this was needed and I took it. The opportunity.
That's so cool. So as we mentioned, you are killing it on social media. So first of all, tell me the story about how you didn't even want to be on social media to begin with, but obviously ended up on Instagram.
Right.
And then
so I kind of feel like I'm almost 35, so I was kind of in that weird range of like, you know, the Facebook, in between the Facebook and Instagram. So I never had an Instagram account up until about a year ago now. And one of my friends, Taisha Williams, giving a shout out to her, she brought me to her PR agent and she was like, look, if you want this brand to go and you're really serious about it, you've got to get an Instagram account. And I was like, well, how is this going to help my business? She's like, it's just the algorithm of Instagram. There's no way it's not. And I'm like, I just don't get it. I don't see how this could help me at all. And so they like told me to do it. I opened it and I kind of found my theme, which is like, again, this, you know, off the beating path, like, you know, I guess rogue Pilates instructor that all my videos are to gangster rap. So it's kind of got that little funky balance there that makes it my own. And now I'm an influencer in my community.
I think that's a big thing. Well, I love that. Yeah. No, that's awesome.
It ended up working out.
Well, it was very intentional in the sense that you created this theme that was different. You were zigging where others were zagging, and there was continuity. I think that's a big thing. It's like coming up with a theme that's different, that really represents who you are, and then being consistent about it. And if you go to your Instagram, the videos are very consistent. The music genre is consistent. The hashtags are consistent.
And you know, it's interesting. I actually just did a podcast on how to grow your Instagram from this fabulous little fitness podcast called Moving Well. And they were really interested in how I grew my Instagram so quickly over 1 year. And it was really fun to do that. It was an hour interview because as I was going through my Instagram, I did a ton of research on how to grow it. So as we all know, Instagram is like a second job in itself. So I'm now doing like 5 jobs, my PR, my marketing, I'm, you know, running the business, you know, training the business and the clients, and now I'm doing Instagram. So for the last year, I've really put like my heart and soul into all of this. And at first, you really have to pick I made like a vision board, like what was my theme going to be of my Instagram? What was going to make me different? And that's what I went off of. So
Ooh.
there are like little strategies to how to grow your Instagram.
Okay, so share a couple of those strategies.
So one of which I think is like, if you're first starting out, is to find what makes you different, what's going to set your account apart from everybody else's. And like you said, one is continuity. And, whether that's, with the music in my video to the, the backdrops to the lighting, everything has to kind of look the same, obviously. Another little trick, so I ended up writing a whole entire paper on like little Instagram tricks. So I haven't divulged the paper out to anybody yet. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. So,
well, will you let me know
So
when
some of them-
you do release this so
Yes.
I can share it with the Empoweristas?
yes, I would love to do something with it. I just haven't.
That's exciting. And then, of course, the
So-
hashtags that you've done, which we talked about on my Instagram, but not here. So if you could tell us again how the hashtags work.
So the hashtags work was, this was probably about 3 or 4 months ago. One of my friends who we've been following each other since day one, at Momentum Pilates, Alina Ross, and she lives in Australia. So we're like all the way across the world from each other. And we managed to what turned into like we just wanted to work together for a collab where first tag was planking for everyone. I kind of saw this need for breaking up exercises and categorizing them into a digital database, which in turn is like an encyclopedia of exercises on Instagram, if that makes sense. So after we had the success with planking for everyone, we then went to arms for everyone, and then we went to glutes for everyone, obliques for everyone, stretching for everyone, and now we're on props for everyone. So we're basically categorizing these exercises into these big posts. So if like, Alex, you were coming in and you were like, Ashlee, I want to focus on my glutes today. And I'm going, not sure what to do. I could pull up glutes for everyone, and there's 420 different posts from everybody in our community.
So is it more so for instructors to come together and give their ideas?
Yes, it's more for instructors to find like inspiration, motivation, and modifications. So it's everything up and under the sun, from like we have other influencers in the community to, other people just joining in. It's just everybody in the community.
Yeah.
It's open to everybody. And then we've opened it up to just fitness, trainers in general. So we have some yoga people in there, personal trainers. So we really don't want to just narrow it to the Pilates community.
That's awesome.
It can be anybody.
Yeah.
And the more that we have and the more that everybody tags it and keeps it alive is the more that we're going to create this amazing resource for all instructors across the country.
Cool.
So I've really been trying to get this press on this particular thing to make it nationwide so more people know.
Yeah.
So we're doing our best to try to just get some more press on it. I finally got like our first sponsor, which was Onzi, which is quite a big athleisure line here in LA. So that was really
Awesome.
exciting.
And then speaking of sponsors, you're wearing clothes by who?
Outdoor Voices.
I love the outfits.
I know.
So cute,
So-
and it looks so comfortable.
It is super comfortable, and they were gracious enough to sponsor me on the show. So
Yeah.
big shout out to them.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Cool. Well, lastly, what is your definition of empowerment?
So empowerment to me is empowering my clients, to make them feel well and good about themselves, giving them the confidence daily to empower them to do the things that they normally wouldn't do, think outside the box, or just live their daily life pain-free and feeling good about themselves.
I love it. And I love you and your vibes and what you're all about. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Yes.
It's been my pleasure.
And let us know what your definition of empowerment is using hashtag Empowerista, and we'll show you some social media love. Until next time, have an amazing day.